Hi crafters, this is Raquel with Paints and Glitter. I welcome you to my channel, and today I'm introducing you to the very last craft kit of 2023. So it is the 20th of the month, and today you get a sneak peek at what you will receive if you sign up to be a subscriber. And don't forget, if you're not a subscriber yet, if you do become a subscriber, you do get 10% off of everything that Tonic Studios sells in their store. I'll be leaving links down below. You get 2 different types of subscription plans to select from, and you can also purchase a one-off kit if it is available. So you don't want to wait too long to get your hands on the kits. They're very popular. They contain exclusive dies and stamps you won't find anywhere else, and then you get Craft Perfect and Nuvo products. So let's take a peek at what's inside. I'm going to take everything out first, and then we'll go through it. With this wallet, you're going to get all of the stamps and dies that are included in your kit, and this one is called Boots and Bouquets. So very pretty. And there's the sticker with the name on it that you can place on your little wallet. That way you always know how to quickly find your kit. So you'll also get an insert. It's going to give you a little bit of a sneaky peek at what's inside. It also gives you a listing of all of the items included in your kit. This one's number 74, and it's going to have quite a bit here that I see listed, and I'll share with you what that all is. But let's take first a peek at the dies and the stamp, or stamps. Okay, so let's take a look at the stamp. Now, aptly named, it is Boots and Bouquets, and there is this very large image here that is this kind of grungy old little boot, and it is filled with flowers. It's so cute. I love that it's got all different types of blooms in there. I see a rose. I see what could be easily transformed into mums. There's also, it looks like a hibiscus flower there. So you make them out to be whatever you like, but let's take a peek at the sentiments. There's a happy birthday, and it's nice and small, so I think that's a really good size for one of the smaller size cards that you can make, of course. This one here says, "Your friendship is everything to me. Your kindness hasn't gone unnoticed." I love that sentiment. I use it a lot. "Thank you for being you." So wonderful. "Enjoy your day." So an everyday kind of card. And then "Stay strong. You've got this." I love sending encouragement cards, so I love that they included that sentiment. And then to go along with those sentiments, you also have shadow dies here. So these are basically the little frames for those sentiments, which is wonderful because then you don't have to worry about placement, and you can make more than one card quite easily when you have that type of die to go along with it. Then you also have a die here that surrounds the largest image, so you'll be able to cut that out of the background. And then some for the little flowers that I forgot to mention. There are 2 stamps here of 2 separate flowers, so that's what these match up with. And then you do get some little flower dies, so that's really sweet. And then there are these 2 panels that are catching my eye right away, and they're smaller panels, which, if you can see there, they do have some stitching along the edge. One of them has these really pretty flowers, and then the other one has these little circles that cut out of the center there, and then also they look like a different style of flower, but I think that's really peculiar because they do cut out of the center like that. So really neat little panels there. As I said, exclusive to the kit, so I think those are really beautiful. And if you preferred to, by the way, store your stamps and dies in a wallet that has a magnetic insert, you can get that separately from Tonic Studios, so that is an option. In this collection of Craft Perfect papers, this one's called Moonlight and Rose, and it is a mirror card collection. I think they're so very pretty. The names of the paper are Chrome Silver, Burnished Rose, Frosted Silver, and Rose Platinum. So let me give you a peek. There's that silver, very pretty. By the way, you do get 4 colors, 6 of each. There's that other silver, much shinier, as you can tell there. And they are 250 GSM, so they're nice and sturdy. Here is this is the Burnished Rose. Look at how gorgeous that is. I love using that color. And then lastly, here is the Rose Platinum. Another very beautifully reflective cardstock. And it's just a wonderful collection, of course, that you can incorporate into your card making. And if you like making batches of cards, this is excellent for that as well. Now, the Nuvo product that you're going to get in this kit. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, look at this. Oh my goodness. So you're going to get started with all of the markers that you need to get coloring your beautiful floral image with the boot. So let's just make an assumption here, and I'm going to pull out the more neutral colors here, and yeah, let's just do that just to give you an idea. Now these are Nuvo markers, and you're getting all of them. This is not exclusive to my sample here. You're getting all of these in your kit. And here are the colors. I'm going to read them out to you. And they are Sandcastle, Brown Sugar, Hazelnut Truffle, Coconut Shell. These here are White Grape, Apricot Blush, Hay Bale, Tiger Lily, Vine Leaf, and Pink Grapefruit. Just a really beautiful collection. And what I wanted to mention before I forget, of course, is that you get two different types of tips. There's a bullet nib on one side, and then the chisel nib on the other side. They're nice and saturated colors, and Nuvo, which is of course from Tonic Studios, has an entire rainbow of colors. So if you like these but you feel like you need a bit more, you can certainly stock up on these from Tonic Studios. Then aside from that, you're going to get a stone drop. So if you're unfamiliar with stone drops, the way that these work is that they have a wider opening at the top because they have a sandy texture. So if you like mixed media, you will enjoy this. You can of course water it down because it is a water-based medium, but that color that you see in the bottle is the actual color of the drop. This happens to be in the color Boulder Gray, which I think is wonderful for that boot if you want to make it really nice and grungy, so we can certainly do that. Then there's an expanding mousse. So this is going to be wonderful if you like to add dimension to your cards. And this particular color is Natural Cotton. It's a very nice, beautiful neutral with a bit of a pearlescent touch. Now, why is it called an expanding mousse? Because you can apply heat to this and it will do exactly that. It's going to expand right off your page. So depending on how much you use, you can get tons of texture, which is a lot of fun, of course. Then from Craft Perfect, you're going to get 5mm square little foam adhesive. And this is wonderful to pop up any little flowers and also your sentiments. So it's great that they've included that. And lastly, you're going to get another wallet like this, which is wonderful if you like to keep organized. And this is going to have your papers. So I'm going to let you know what the colors are, but they are so pretty and they coincide, of course, with those gorgeous markers. So the first color here that you're going to get is Smooth Card, and that's this one here, in Ivory. Now this is your basic card. This is a nice heavyweight card for your card bases. So if you want to cut this in half, you're going to be able to make 2 cards of one size, or if you want to, you can just create your panels for the front of your cards with this one piece and just cut it into 4s. So that's really wonderful. Then aside from that, you're going to get some really beautiful paper here in the classic card, which is linen weave on one side and then smooth on the other. So you can stamp and color onto these papers, of course. But this one is called Sea Salt Green. Absolutely stunning. Then you're going to get some pearlescent card. And in this case, you're going to get a blushing pink. This is a Blue Frost, which hints at kind of a minty green, but the name is Blue Frost. And then you're also going to get a majestic gold. I absolutely love this color. It's one of my favorite golds from Tonic. Then you're going to get an ombre glitter card. So just as the name states, ombre means it goes from one hue to another, light to dark or vice versa. And this one happens to be an opalescent green. Oh, love, love, love that color. It's so beautiful. And then lastly, you're going to get a mirror card in Italian rose. So look at how gorgeous that's. Oh, such a beautiful paper. I love the palette. I just happen to be a huge fan of the color green, and I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with this. So I'm going to get started, and I'm going to share with you how I'll be using these, and hopefully you can walk away with some inspiration. Okay, so to get started, I did take that heavy cardstock that was included in the kit, and I cut it down to 4 1/8 by 5 1/2 inches. So if you do cut that down to this size, you will be able to get at least 4 panels that you can stamp onto. So I've taken the large image of the little boot here with the floral, and I'm going to use Silver Sage ink from Tonic, and I'm just going to cover this up. And I am using the Tim Holtz platform. So either do clear stamps, which is clearly marked as well on the platform, or you can flip the entire lid around to use rubber stamps if that's something you prefer to use. I've also made use of the sticky grip mat that's right behind my paper here, and that's holding my paper in place, along with the little magnets. Of course, they come in very handy. It's wonderful if you, like myself, don't have very strong hands. Then you have a chance to just press on it lightly until you get a nice bright image. Let's see here. I think I'm quite happy with that. Now you have the option here to leave this as is. What I'm going to try to do is to heat emboss mine. So I'm going to remove this from here for a moment, and I'm going to use a scrap piece of card right behind it. I'm going to sprinkle it with some Nuvo embossing powder in the color Classic Silver. And now I'm going to sprinkle this very generously. The excess, of course, will go right back into this little jar. And if you're worried about static, you can use an anti-static powder before you apply the ink to your paper. That's what I did before I started stamping. And if you find that you still need a little bit of help cleaning your image, you can definitely take a very dry paintbrush and try to remove the excess that may be stuck to the edges. Just remember that it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. Okay, so here is my image, and this is nice and ready for me to color. I didn't get it 100% emboss on every single little detail. I did miss a couple little spots there, but I'm not bothered by that. I actually think it looks really beautiful just as it is, and I will be using the die to cut this out of this background. But I wanted to mention to you that if you are interested in swatching out your colors of any of the Nuvo markers and pens that are available from Tonic Studios, you can actually go to the website. I'll leave you the link below, and then you can print these out at your leisure, and then you can go ahead and swatch out all of your colors, including the metallic ones. So if you'd like, you can do a wheel, just as you see here, and it comes in handy if you want to pick out colors, and maybe you want to see a little bit of color theory and action with the wheel, or depending on what you may already have on hand. So that's just a little tip for you. I decided on using the color Hazelnut Truffle and Hay Bale for the actual boot, and these are $4.61 and $4.79. So I'm going to start out with the thinner nib here, and I'm going to take a peek at my little image here and see where does the boot actually begin. So I'm going to go right underneath this image here, which is the rose, and I'm just going to start laying down color. Now, of course, there's this silver edge to this entire boot here, but I wanted to avail myself of the colors that were in the kit, and that's why I've gone with this combination. You can, of course, do whichever colors you like. So I'm just going to go right around all of that heat embossing. I am trying to avoid the silver color as much as possible. And then, of course, you can fill this in however you like. I'm just going to keep it quite simple, actually. And there's a little kind of line here that I'm going to use as a highlight. So I'm going to avoid that for the moment and continue coloring the rest of this. And of course, you could supplement this with any of the colored pencils that are available from Tonic Studios as well. You don't have to keep it to just the alcohol markers. And I'm going to continue coloring this in. Okay, so if you're happy with the colors, again, this is a combination of hay bell, coconut shell, and hazelnut truffle. Those are the three that I used on that boot. In fact, let me make sure that I get this tiny little bit here. There's a little section there that should be a little bit darker. Here we go. So I've got that. Now I can move on to the flowers. I can go in with the pink grapefruit and color a few of these flower centers. I think I'm going to use that one here. Why not? And there's another flower over here that looks just like it, so I'm going to go ahead and use the same color there. And one more over here. And one more over here. Okay. Now I can go in and add a little bit of Tiger Lily, that's 374, to that same color that I had just applied. And add a little bit of a shadow here and there. just along the edges. It'll blend out really nicely. Okay. Then for the petals, I'm actually going to go in with Sandcastle for this one. And I'm just going to go right close to the center of that flower first. And then over here on the bottom and in the center. Here closer to the center of the petals or the flower, and then the same here. Okay. On the same petals, I'm just going to blend that out now. Really happy with that. For this flower here, let's see. This one almost looks like it could be a sunflower. So I'm going to use white grape in the center. It's a little bit on the green side. The same kind of colors that I'm using here. And then I am going to avail myself of Indian saffron. Now this is just from my personal stash. And I'm going to go ahead and color right in here. And then I'm going to go over that color with the apricot blush again. It's going to kind of tone it down a little bit and help me blend the color out as well. And of course, you can always go back and forth with these colors however you like. To go back and use some lemon drops right on top of those two colors, just to lighten it up a tiny bit more, but toward the tip of the flower, kind of avoiding that center a little bit. I'm now going to use the colors Vine Leaf and Apricot Blush. So I'm going to start out with the Apricot Blush, and then I'm going to follow it through with the Vine Leaf. And that's because I'm going to try to get some of this greenery. Be a little bit inconspicuous to see the greenery to begin with, but I'm going to go in with this color first. And I'm just targeting what I know are kind of the little sprigs here and there. And of course, some of them I won't be able to color simply because I did heat emboss them with the silver. But this is kind of a really easy way to add color without sort of kind of committing necessarily to the final color here, because I can always go back and add a little bit more. So I'm going to determine here what color. I think I'm going to add it back here as well. Okay. The Vine Leaf, again, is going to go along, right along that color that I had just laid down. It's going to help this kind of pop a bit. And following that through like so. And I really love the contrast. I do think that green always helps the subtlety of flowers stand out even more. So that's why I don't shy away from that color. But of course you do whatever you're happy with. Now I'm also going to color the base of some of these flowers with this. However, I'm going to mix it together with Hay Bell. So this is $4.79. I'm going to go in with that first, just at the base of these flowers. I think it's only just about a tiny little bit there that would be needed. And then I'm going to go back in and try to blend that. Now this is quite a strong color green, so it might be too much for that other one. So I'm going to follow that through with white grape to blend those two colors together as much as I can here. And really I'm just targeting that dark green color more than anything. So that's enough of a shadow there. Okay, so now I'm going to target this nice bright flower in the center, and that is a lily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the color Tiger Lily, that's 374, and I'm actually going to stipple this, because if you've ever seen a lily in real life, they do have quite a bit of texture in the center, and that's part of the appeal. So I'm going to color the stamen in completely, okay? And using pink grapefruit, I'm actually going to color from the center out using just some kind of wispy strokes here. Because the petals are not flat, I'm going to go in with Sandcastle, and then I'm just going to go right around the edges of that flower, just here and there. Very subtle, but it will give it a little bit of a shadow there. Okay, now I would like to color in the two roses that I have here. I think that I would like to do is to color those in a bit of a darker peach tone. So the one that's in the kit is 373 pink grapefruit, and I am actually going to supplement that with a couple more. 472 garlic clove and 392, which is fruit punch. So I'm going to start out with fruit punch, and that's what I think is going to be the darker one. And I'm just going to aim it at the center of this rose. Okay, so that's how I'm going to color that rose, and I think that I may repeat that over here just because I have the colors and it's easier to just repeat the same color family. I've got a nice big flower over here as well. Actually, it looks like as if there are two of them, but they have very similar petals. Use the color Sweet Blossom. Again, this one is not in the kit. And just adding a little bit of pink to this. Just to this one here. Happy with my coloring, so now I'm going to cut this out of the background and I'll be right back. To begin the next part of this card, you're going to take a 5-inch square piece of cardstock. I'll be using a 110-pound card, and to make this easier to see, I did put some pen marks there, but you might not be able to see it. What I'm going to recommend is that you take the score tool and measure in from the corner 7/8 of an inch, and then measure down from that same corner. It's basically a little dot here. Let's see here, it's about 3/4 of an inch, yep, right there. And then the same thing here, I'm gonna go in 1, 2, 3/4 of an inch, got a little dot there, okay? And that's just for reference, but you're going to take your bone folder and then just press very lightly on that line. Again, this is just for reference. I'm not going to do anything with that in particular, but you're going to do that twice, pouring at about 3/4 of an inch. And then all the way down till you reach, let's see here, 4 1/4. Okay, just like that. So according to those lines now, and again, this is 5 inches square, so I'm going to go to that line that I had scored there, and what I'm going to do is place my blade right there, so I know that it's going to start at about, yep, just under an inch here. Okay, 7/8 of an inch. And then I am going to give myself a 1/2 inch on this end, so I'm going to actually cut all the way down to 4, and let's see here, let's make it 4 1/4 actually. Just make it 4 1/4 just to be on the safe side. Okay, so from 7/8 of an inch to 4 1/4. Okay, now I'm going to move this over just a tad bit, and this has 1/4 inch lines on this side, so I'm going to go out to 1 inch from the edge. Okay, and I'm going to repeat the same cut line, starting at 7/8 of an inch, and I'm going to work my way down to about 4 1/4 inches there. And then I'm going to flip this paper, and if it's not entirely perfect, don't worry. I'm going to flip this paper, and I'm going to do the same thing here. Now I'm going to gauge the distance according to that little score line that I had made. So I'm going to try to find it there. Okay. I'll push my paper or my blade in, go all the way down to 4 1/4. And it should match up with that score line, and then I'm going to go out from there to an inch, so it's going to be an inch from the edge. Okay, and then cut all the way down to about 4 1/4. Okay, so, and then you have these channels cut into your paper that are approximately 1/4 inch wide. That's about it. So you're going to repeat that again. Should have 2 panels that are exactly the same, and what I've done is that I've taken a decorative die from my stash. It looks like this. It was a previous die that Tonic Studios released, and using that ombre glitter card, I'm going to end up adhering this to these panels in opposite directions, but I need a way to do that without adhering it to the base, so I'm going to cut some strips at 1/4 inch wide. The length is up to you, so long as you can fit it onto these channels like so. So you're going to go under, over, under, This is just going to create a super easy mechanism. Bring it all the way up to that score line that you had made, and then fold these over gently. They don't have to be too tight. And then you're going to adhere it, that little strip, right onto itself. So if the strip is a little too long, you can just cut it down. But just make sure you only apply adhesive onto the strip, nowhere else. And then gently fold this over so that it's not too tight. You want it to be able to move. And then I'm going to actually cut away the excess. Just about there. It's going to be fine. Okay. So I'm going to repeat that. And I'm going to create another little strip for this one. So I just took a long piece of paper and I cut it into 1/4-inch strips. So the width of these strips is not too terribly important. What matters is that the paper is able to move. And the other thing that matters is the height of it, because it needs to be the same height as the die cut piece you're going to place right on top of it. So that's why I went with this piece. It was just because of the measurement of the height of this, because this is 5 inches square, I'm sorry, and this one happens to be 4 inches tall. So I hope that makes sense. It's just so that way I could have an inch border all the way around. That's the only reason why. So if you have a die cut that's 4 inches tall, then it's going to fit on a 5-inch tall piece of card and leave you with that 1-inch border. So that's the only really important measurement there. So once you have that tacked down, what you're going to do is take that gorgeous card here. You're going to adhere this right onto that strip, making sure that it's equidistant top to bottom. Okay, the inner portion you're not really going to see, so don't worry too much about that. Just make sure you apply your adhesive onto this little strip here only. Okay, and then basically if you want to gauge it from this side, you can, so that you know that it's top to bottom the same height here. And if you want to, you can make these little edges meet up on that edge of the page. It's up to you, just eyeballing it really. But it looks good to me, so I'm just going to go with that. Now I'm going to take the other one. It's going to face the opposite direction, and I'm going to do the same thing. So moving this one aside, placing my adhesive on the opposite one, on the entire little strip there, and then making sure that this is top to bottom the same distance. Place that one there as well. And what you want to make sure is that this is all the way to that edge, that score line that you had made when you initially adhere it. Okay, and that little strip is all the way to the back also, so which it is. Should have mentioned that. So make sure it's nice and straight before you burnish it. Apply some pressure there. Okay. Now onto this, what I would like to do is also adhere some of that pearlescent paper that came in the paper pack. So I'm actually going to cut this down as well. I just think it's so pretty. Okay, so those panels we created with that sliding mechanism there now need a foundation. So what I'm going to do is apply adhesive on the back here, of course avoiding the channels top and bottom there. So I'm just going to go all the way around, making sure that this is now nicely adhered. You can push it all the way back if you need to, but this is going to go on this piece of 110-pound cardstock that happens to be 5 1/4 inches square. I wanted to give myself a little bit of a border, so I'm going to make sure that this is even all the way around. This was just a safe way to ensure that I had a little bit of wiggle room here I'm going to make sure that that is nicely squared off. Okay. And once that's placed on here, you may have noticed that I do have foam adhesive all the way around. So it's just 3 channels here, of course, avoiding that one portion that's going to be moving back and forth. And remember, I said this portion is not going to be seen, so the fact that you may have marked your paper with a black pen is going to be of no consequence. What I'm going to do is remove the backing to this type of adhesive. Okay, and this is going to get another panel on top. Before I do that, however, I do want to decorate this. So I'm going to place this other panel on top, and this is that beautiful pearlescent card that was included in your kit. I just cut it down with a little panel that was matching the one that I had already placed here. So if you want to place a little tab onto that, you can. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it near the edge here. Not quite all the way. Just about there. I want to have a little bit of a surprise. And I'm also going to take one of the sentiments. This one says, "Thank you for being you." I used silver embossing powder and went ahead and heat embossed that onto just white card. And I'm going to place that here. I think the script for this is so very beautiful. And then I have some little flowers. I'm going to adhere these nice and flat. So just placing adhesive on the back. And kind of make them look a little bit playful. So one here, one up here, and then just to kind of ground this a little bit, one over here. Okay, kind of like they're blowing in the wind. And I'm going to repeat that on the second one before I adhere. Then place this sentiment on the second one facing the opposite direction. This says, "Your kindness hasn't gone unnoticed." I thought that was a very, very beautiful sentiment, and especially if you're thanking someone, then that would be a wonderful reason to say thank you. So this little guy is going to go right here, and it's going to mirror the other one as far as the distance is concerned. Okay, and again, that way it doesn't peek out until the person pulls on that. And then the sentiment is going to lay right flat on here. I just thought those colors were perfect, especially with this ombre color card. I think it's so gorgeous. And again, another little flower here. And another one. This one's just going to have 2. Maybe kind of hiding behind the sentiment a little bit. Can lift it up a tiny bit. And there we go. It's just a little bit of playfulness. Of course, you can finish it off with Nuvo drops if you like. Now this one's going to go on top. Just make sure your mechanism is working, of course. But in this case, you're not worried too much about the adhesive because you're just going to lay this exactly on top of the previous one. So you're going to match your corners. And I'm picking mine up because otherwise I won't be able to see this. So I'm just going to grab it here because there's no adhesive on this side. And I'm going to make sure my little corners match. So make sure that it matches on all 3 sides. And then I can apply pressure. And of course, double check, make sure that my little slider mechanisms are both working. Plenty of room there with that foam adhesive. So there's that one. And then this one. On top of this, of course, there's going to be another panel, okay, that measures the same as the base panel. So it's 5 1/4 inches all the way around. Now, what I want to do is that I'm going to be placing the green card right on top, but first I want to color the edge of this using the Platinum Gold Dual Dot Marker from Tonic. right on top of here, giving me a really pretty border in white all the way around. And of course, you can use whatever colors you like. And this is going to go right on top of this one. So it's the same process of removing the backing of this adhesive now. Hold it again this way because I know there's no adhesive here. And then I'm going to make sure that I line this up, not with this corner, but the one all the way in the background. Make sure that's nice and square. All the way around. And of course it's dimensional, but it's looking cute. Might be a tiny, tiny, tiny bit off, but we can practice forgiveness and just move on. So there it is. Now I'm using this panel, and this is in that gorgeous gold card that was also included in the kit. And I did die cut this piece here. It's so very pretty. So you choose whichever way you want to place this on here. I decided to just, I think I'm going to go in this direction here. Yes, I am. So I'm going to place this on here first, and I'm only going to add a tiny bit of adhesive exactly where I need it, and I'll share in a moment why. But this is going to go all the way to this right side, right along the edge there. And I'm going to adhere this down now. And of course, with Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, you don't need a whole lot. But just center this as well as you can. If it's a little off to one side or the other, don't worry. That stunning boot and all the little flowers are going to go right on top of that. And of course, you decide if you want this to be dimensional. I think there's enough dimension on this card that it doesn't truly need a whole lot more. So this is going to go right on top here, and it's overlapping, of course. Kind of paying attention here to the placement of basically the bottom of the boot there and that top. I think it's so pretty. It shows off not just the colors, but I think it can be tilted a little bit more, so I am going to tilt it there. Okay. So it shows off not just the colors, but of course you get that beautiful panel here. And then what I did was that I did stamp and color 3 more of these little flowers. And what I did was to place that dimensional adhesive that came in the kit, a tiny bit here. There we go. So that one's going to go there. Again, supplementing it with some Nuvo adhesive. And then this is going to tuck in right behind there, kind of hiding that little bit of stem. And then one more of these, a little bit more glue. That one's going to tuck right behind this one, kind of just straight up. I just thought it would add a little touch of kind of wildlife there. I just thought that would be cute. Okay. So, again, it says thanks for being you. Slides out of this side. And then, of course, on the other side, it says your kindness hasn't gone unnoticed. There are all these other little flowers. It's up to you on whether or not you add color to these. I'm just going to adhere them randomly around. So toward the center there. This one here. On mine, I'm using the crystal drops in Simply White. And that's going to finish off the center of my little flowers. Just to keep it in a nice delicate palette there, without taking too much away from having done all of that beautiful coloring. And it's just fun. Of course, you can add more drops if you want to. It's up to you. Okay, so that completes my first card. I absolutely love the texture, and as I said before, you could definitely make this larger. The idea, of course, is to add the sentiments, just giving the recipient a little bit of a surprise to dry the Nuvo drops before you send it out. This is the second card I wanted to share with you. And here what I did was that I used the other panel available in the kit. I did cut that out twice out of white cardstock. I did use the pink pearlescent card, and then I used a die from my stash to cut into it just on the border to give it a little stitching edge. And then on some little corners here, I tore into the paper and I added some twine. The image I stamped and colored again, only this time I used a different set of markers that are also from Nuvo to color the boot into a silvery or grayish color palette. And then on top of that, I did use the stone drops. So as I had mentioned, this is a water soluble product, so I did place it on my mat. I used a brush and just brushed it right on top of what I had already colored. And up here on the flowers, I did use different colors. I went with a little bit more of an intense color palette by adding some more pinks from other Nuvo markers that I have. And then I did use the same exact colors that I used in the first card as well. Here I did use the sentiment that says happy birthday. I stamped that in a brown color, and that's how small the sentiment is. So I think it's really nice and delicate. And you may have noticed the little belly band that I added to this card. This was done by using the same green pearlescent card that's in the background. I cut a strip of it, and then I had already cut a separate piece of card with that same floral motif. I placed it on top of this paper and then used the Nuvo expanding mousse with my spatula. All I did was spread a little bit of that mousse through the paper opening as if it were a stencil. And then I heated the mousse and it gave me that beautiful texture there. I did use also on the flowers some glass glitter from my stash, and then I topped off the white panels using Nuvo Dream Drops in the color Gold Luxe, and the little twine is just a kind of creamy color, and that completes that card. This is, by the way, a 5x7 card. For the next card, I wanted to focus on the smaller stamps available in the kit. I thought they were so adorable, so I did stamp them multiple times on a white card background. I did use the Nuvo Clear Mark ink, and that is great for heat embossing. Then I used from Nuvo the Golden Egg embossing powder. I think it's such a lovely color, and because there was so many metallics in this kit, then I went ahead and used that for heat embossing. Then I took the two pens that were the Tiger Lily and the Pink Grapefruit. I used those to color the centers of the flowers. Then I use the Hay Bale and White Grape. Those are the ones that I used on the stems of all of the flowers. Kept it super simple. Then on some of the little flowers, you may have noticed I did cut them out using the dies available. So if you see here, that's where I used the dimensional foam pads to make sure that some of these could pop up. And what I did is that I layered them right on top of flowers that I had already heat embossed, so they match exactly. It also helped with the placement. Then I topped off the front of this card with 3 different types of Nuvo drops and a couple of little actual diamond dots in white. So that panel is followed with a silver mirror card panel that you can get, of course, from the kit. Then the pearlescent green card, or blue I should say, is all the way in the background there. Now this card is super cute because it opens like this, and here you see another little panel at the bottom that I also went ahead and embellished with those same little flowers, and that's where I placed the sentiment that I popped up by cutting it out of not only the background where I had heat embossed it. This time I used silver embossing powder, and it says thank you for being you. But I also cut out the same background using the same die that I used for the sentiment 2 times, once in the gold card, once in the silver, and I kind of just staggered them so that the silver would be on the top, the gold on the bottom, and the sentiment you can write right in here, which is yet another little panel with only one little flower. The matting layer is the same silver, okay? But what's unique about this is that once you open the card, you can make it into an easel card, and the front of the card actually goes right behind that little sentiment, and it'll sit on a table like so, and that way it actually shows off all of that beautiful design without showing the sentiment that you may write on the inside. So I hope that's kind of self-explanatory, but I just thought that that was such a cute little way to present those adorable little images. And lastly, I went ahead and made a larger card. This time it's 5 by 7, but it's quite simple. I just took advantage of those gorgeous papers in the kit. The background there is that darker mirror card that came in the kit. Then here is that ombre green, and here again are those panels that I had cut using the die in the set. However, instead of using it as I did here, where I just backed it up with the gold card, here I took all sorts of different colors from the kit. So all of those colors are available, and I cut them out into different circles. Then I adhered them individually behind each little space, and that way I could change them up. And lastly, on top, I placed the sentiment, but first I cut out a large circle out of acetate just to kind of give it that little bit of that floating look. Then I cut out the circle in white. I colored the perimeter of that circle with Crystal Drop in metallic soft mint just to match everything else. And then another circle in the ballet pink, which is not in the kit, but you can get it from Tonic Studios. And the sentiment says, "Stay strong, you've got this." And I did use Nuvo ink in Bermuda Jade to stamp that. So if you're looking for a green that might match that ombre colored card, I think that would be a pretty one, of course. So that completes this top folding 5 by 7 card. The base is just nice white cardstock. And I had a lot of fun crafting with this kit. I mean, I just love the variety that you can get from them. I tried to make cards that you could recreate very easily, whether you like a kinetic type of card, as I showed you earlier, or if you like a little bit more of a shabby chic look, you could certainly go with that. If you even want to make just a masculine card, you could definitely go with this style here. If you want to stay away maybe from pink, which that's up to you, you could definitely make all of the circles in different types of metallic colors, or just keep it with the greens. And then this one here, I was thinking if the sentiment can be the birthday one, or any one of the sentiments that was in the kit, or even if you have another sentiment that maybe is for like a baby shower, this would go very, very well with that, because of that delicate color palette that you can use using the markers available, or any pencils that you might even have. So let me know which one is your favorite. I love reading your feedback. And of course, the idea here is for you to get a little bit of inspiration and get yourself started crafting with this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous kit. I think you're gonna really enjoy it, and the number of papers that you get go really far. All I did was supplement mine with a tiny little bit of ballet pink paper, and that was for the little circle here and maybe a couple of them there, but that was it. So let me know, will you be grabbing this kit? Are you subscribed? And don't forget that when you do subscribe, you get your 10% TCK code on everything else at Tonic Studios. So if you want to add a few more markers and the like, you'll be able to do that at a really great price. But as I always say, I thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you can be inspired and be blessed.